Here it is, the list you've all been waiting for. Now, as always, I haven't watched every bad movie that 2024 has thrown at us, and that's because, despite being called brave by many of you when it comes to watching terrible movies, as a wise king once said,
being brave doesn't mean you go looking for trouble.
That being said, some movies were too high profile that I just couldn't stop myself, and I saw them. So with that said, let's get this top 5 list started. Number 5. Trap. A part of me always felt bad for M. Night Shyamalan because he notoriously doesn't take bad reviews well, but after I saw Trap, I stopped caring, because he brings them on himself. If you don't want people to give you bad reviews, then stop doing the same shit. After making 3 notoriously bad movies, M. Night Shyamalan essentially brought his career back from the dead with The Visit and Split. And people praised him for both movies, especially because he had reduced a lot of his bad habits. But then, all the bad habits started to come back, and Trap, for me, is the last straw. Now, I love the concept behind this movie. The story is that a father is taking his daughter to a concert. He sees a curiously large number of police officers, however, and asks a guard what they are all here for. The guard stupidly spills the beans and tells him that they got a tip that a notorious serial killer has attended this concert, and that this whole thing is a trap to arrest him. So from here, the character has to figure out a way to escape the building without getting caught. The concept of making your main character the bad guy who is trying to escape a trap the police have set for him is a good one. I mean, it's a downright stupid plan from the cop's point of view, but I'm willing to look past that. But what ruins it is the Shyamalan-isms that he puts in his movies, and there are some really stupid scenes in this film that are on the happening levels of terrible. A lot of terrible acting, cringeworthy dialogue, and again, the terrible acting. Shyamalan has this weird thing where he gets his actors to speak like they're not human.
I can tell that you're upset.
I am upset. My daughter was hurt. We can talk about it later.
No, hey! Don't mess with me, Cooper. I'm not someone to be provoked. I have a dark side. You don't want to see it.
And I don't know why he keeps doing it, despite people constantly criticizing him for it. And although there was enjoyment to be had with this movie, and I thought it was decently shot, these Shyamalan-isms just killed it for me. This could have just been an average movie that wouldn't have ended up on any list, but all of Shyamalan's bad habits made this such a frustrating experience for me. And at points, I actually got angry at him. I really am fed up and done with Shyamalan as a director. He keeps doing the same shit that nobody likes and then cries about it afterwards. Just go back to the lessons you learned when writing and directing movies like Split and people will be with you again. And so will I. But if he keeps writing and directing his movies like he used to, then don't expect those bad reviews to stop anytime soon. Number 4. Mufasa. Surprise, surprise, this movie ended up on my worst of list. Mufasa was a completely pointless prequel that no one asked for and Disney gave it to us anyway, because that seems to be their strategy these days. I made a video where I talked about all the things I didn't like about this movie, so if you want to know my detailed thoughts, then you can watch it there. But man, the story had interesting elements, but the execution just fell flat on its face. And the whole origin of how Scar becomes evil and gets his name, you guys were right. Transformers 1 attempted the exact same thing with Megatron's origin story, and it puts Mufasa to shame. And that's one of the many reasons Transformers 1 ended up on my best of list, and Mufasa has ended up on the worst. And Disney did not get the results they wanted with this one, and the movie has not done anywhere near the box office numbers as the original Lion King remake. And Disney got very bitchy about it too. It caused them to have a drama fit on social media where they were spreading misinformation about the performance of the movie and hiding comments when people were calling them on it. The box office numbers have since gotten better, but either way, the box office gross does not look good, considering it's vastly lower than its predecessor, and it might be making more than Sonic 3 right now, but it cost a heck of a lot more to make than Sonic 3 did. Now there are people who do like this movie, and if you liked it, great. I really hated it though, and that's why it takes a spot on this list. Number 3. Madam Web. What a hilarious mess this turned out to be. This movie was supposed to be about Ezekiel traveling back in time to 2003 to kill a baby Peter Parker, but then in the reshoots they took all of the Spider-Man references out and changed it to have him come after the Spider-Women instead. Hence, Ezekiel has the now notoriously bad dubbing with all of his lines.
I agreed to provide security for you because I thought you were close to finding the spider. That spider can give superhuman strength and power like.
I will find them and kill them first.
And no one talks about this, but like I said, this movie takes place in 2003, and this movie is so clueless about everything that Sony threw the PSP in there to be accurate to the times, but somehow they forgot that their PSP doesn't even exist yet. The PSP didn't hit American shelves until 2005, and this movie takes place in 2003, and yet, here is a guy on the subway gaming on his PSP, you know, like they used to, back in 2003. Seriously, how do professionals who are paid millions not know this stuff? But I do. This shouldn't be millions of dollars worth of knowledge that I possess, but apparently it is. And if Sony can't even get their own history right, then they can't get anything right. Case in point, this movie. It was a complete disaster. Not only did audiences and critics not like it, but the actors didn't like it, Hollywood was making fun of it while it was still in theaters, and Pepsi killed the bad guy. I didn't think you could have product placement worse than Krispy Kreme in the Power Rangers movie, but Sony found a way to top it. Even the emotional scenes are so terrible. One scene in particular, I swear the writers for this movie copied a scene from Smallville Season 5. Except, Smallville had a car crash that could actually kill someone.
No. Lana!
Come on. Lana! No! Lana! No!
Well, she's dead. And this was a badass car stunt, and it was done on a CW budget from 2005. And in Madam Web,
Dark side. It is.
Is that it?
yep, an $80 million movie made in 2024 gave us this embarrassing death-defying car crash. And it doesn't even make sense why she is so upset about this guy. He's not a main character, he's not even a side character, and the movie treats it like Peter Parker losing Uncle Ben. And no one talks about this scene either, but I just laughed my ass off, paused the movie, and showed my brother the same scene done so much better in Smallville. And then we got back to watching this hilarious piece of crap. Madam Web is an abomination of a movie, and it failed in every way possible. The story, characters, villain, action, cinematography, writing, the direction, the product placement, it was all as bad as you could get, and is further proof that Sony have no idea what they're doing, and they have become the absolute laughingstock in an industry full of laughingstocks.
Don't say that. I did try my best.
But it was really funny, unintentionally so, but still. And this movie would usually take a #1 spot on my list, but believe it or not, we have two movies that left an even worse impression. Number 2, Joker 2. No one expected Madam Web to be a good movie. We knew it was gonna suck the second it got announced, but a movie that had potential and many of us expected to, at the very least, be a good movie was Joker 2. And it didn't just end up being bad, but it ended up giving the middle finger to every one of us who loved and supported the first movie. There are people who say that they never wanted a Joker sequel, and initially, I was one of those people. But at the back of my mind, I always knew that they could make a sequel and continue the story if they were smart about it. And well,
there is no Joker. It's just me.
This movie is proof that they were not smart about it. Now, I made a detailed versus video of the two Joker movies. The first Joker was such a success and did something different and new with the comic book genre, and it was embraced by everyone. You'd think that Todd Phillips would be so proud of that, but this movie proves the opposite. After watching Joker 2, you'd think that Todd Phillips was ashamed of the first movie and did everything he could to undo it. This is a movie that I and many others were looking so forward to. It was my most anticipated movie of the year, and it ended up being the second worst. I never would have considered that a possibility. But I'm not going to leave it there. I'm actually going to go a step further. It's misguided movies like this that make me less excited to watch movies nowadays. The movie flopped the big one at the box office and has even been nominated for a Razzie, and it is well deserved. This movie could have done so much with Joker and Harley terrorizing Gotham, which is how it was advertised in its marketing, and the movie was none of that. This was another example of false advertising, and for all the backhanded shit that it pulled from marketing to release, makes this movie take a top spot on this list. Now, Joker 2 was originally going to be the worst movie on this list, but at least it had a couple good things going for it, all of which I detail in my Versus video. But then I saw another movie that was so bad and had absolutely nothing redeemable about it. And that movie is Craven the Hunter. Yes, Madam Web is technically the worst movie, but for me, I can laugh at Madam Web for how bad it is, and I can have fun by watching it as a bad movie. But Craven was so bad that I was just frustrated by the terrible decisions, and I wasn't able to laugh at them. The main reason I couldn't laugh at them is because I was just bored. I genuinely wanted to leave the theater several times when watching this film, and if I didn't have to review the movie, then I probably would have gotten up and left. And again, they keep writing stupid scenes. They know that people are memeing how bad these spin-off movies are, so why do they keep writing bad dialogue like this?
But don't you want to know why they call me the Rhino?
He can do anyone. He's like a chameleon.
She died not long after that trip, and I never saw her again.
And have their actors do random shit like this. Another reason this movie is in first place is because it was rated R. Fans begged Sony to make Venom rated R, and they promised they would. Twice. But then the cowards changed their minds and went with a PG-13. And to make Craven of all characters their first R-rated movie, and trying to make it out like we are listening to the fans, is a slap in the face. And the R rating was very poorly utilized. Nothing about this story is rated R material. It could have easily been done in a PG-13. The R rating is just tacked on and not used smartly to enhance the storytelling like other R-rated comic book films. And just like their previous spin-off films, Craven is not a villain, even though the trailers keep saying he is. He is so clearly a hero. But this comes as no surprise to anyone. We all knew Sony were full of shit when they put this tagline in the trailer, and to no one's surprise, we were right. Objectively, Madam Web is a far worse movie, but personally, this movie was far worse to me. Madam Web is a riot for all the wrong reasons, and I thought at the very least, if Craven is bad, then maybe it could be laughably bad. But it wasn't. It was just bad. It was so dull and so boring. And again, I cannot stress how much I wanted to walk out of the theater so many times. But I stayed just so I could review the movie for you guys. And I still haven't gotten my brain cells back since that review. Even the action is pretty much shown in its entirety in the trailer. The best bits definitely are, and they even cut some of the blood short in the final movie. You actually get to see a few more frames of the blood in the trailer. All round, I can enjoy elements of other movies on this list, but I enjoyed none of Craven the Hunter. And I went in expecting a bad movie, but it ended up being far worse than I could possibly have imagined. And the audacity of this is that Sony still protest that their spin-off movies are not bad, and they have a damn nerve. Sony, your spin-off movies suck. The critics have spoken, and more importantly, the audience has spoken. And I can say with absolute certainty that Craven the Hunter is the worst movie of 2024. So, those are my worst movies of 2024. It's sad to see that 3 of this year's worst movies are comic book films, 2 of which we already knew would suck, but for a Joker sequel to be up here with Madam Web and Craven? That is shocking. I don't think the Joker has gotten pressed this bad since...
Don't hurt me. I'll be your friend.
That. Again, from the bottom of my heart, a big thanks to all of you for supporting the channel. I have plenty more content on the way, especially on Patreon and YouTube memberships, so be sure to become a member, and if you donate just a few bucks a month, you will really help support the channel, and you will be rewarded with a ton of extra content as well. And also, be sure to drop your worst movies lists in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching everyone, and I will see all of you very soon. Take care.